Alright, Shalom Akim. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harakah Kwadash, double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth, sanitation to all the Akim, the Afwakim and the Wafbanyam, and rise up to the house of David. Yeah, just got a little clip. Things have been happening, man. Things have been happening in the year 2020, year of prophecy. The prophecies are speaking, you know. Events taking place all over the world, man. Corona, hearing about many deaths, lockdown over there in China, and you know, they're talking about in some parts of Africa, you got the locusts. They're saying they're eating up all the crops, and this now over in Yorkshire and places East Yorkshire, floods, storm Korea and storm Dennis. They're worried about another one that's going to take place, but there's so much happening. I was just watching the news. I said, all right, let me, you know, I decided to do a video on the storms, storm Korea, storm Dennis, storm Elaine. Without further ado, let's just check out some of the things that's been happening.
The streets of Tenbury Wells have been flooded before, but not like this for almost 13 years. There's no way into the town centre. The only way out is by rescue boat.
I'm really amazed of this thing. I'm really surprised what is happening right now.
Even those living up high are worried.
Yeah, because a lot of them are in shock. A lot of them are shell shocked. You know, with all the preparation that they did with the reinforced barriers, some of them spent thousands on them barriers, and the water's still seeping in through the under the cellar, through the toilet, through the pipes. Let's hear it out.
Martin Craddock is weighing up whether to leave his flat or to stay.
We're alright till sort of probably tomorrow, and then we'll have to just make a decision.
And where he he looks like he's on a first floor flat, and he's worried. That's how devastating it is, you know. He's a first floor flat above shops, and he's worried if the water's still gonna get him. You see, this is some serious thing, you know.
On what we're going to do, so.
The flood defences in front of the shops on the high street have been overwhelmed by the sheer amount of water, and as levels in the river continue to rise tonight, residents are saying this is starting to remind them of 2007.
Much of England has also seen widespread flooding. Huge areas of Yorkshire countryside that were already saturated because of rain, now completely swamped. And in York, businesses were preparing for things.
Look at that. That looked like a lake. That looked like a lake. You know, that's supposed to be dry land, and that looks like it's a lake, a swamp, literally.
Swamped. And in York, businesses were preparing for things to get worse. In Brighton, the storm hampered the search for a woman who'd gone missing near the beach.
She's gone, swept away, and she's gone. You know, they've got high hopes, but they now know that she's gone, swept away.
Meanwhile, in the Scottish borders, last night emergency services were busy. 2 people had to be rescued from this car when a river burst its bank, sweeping the vehicle off the road. People evacuated from their homes took refuge in a local health centre overnight.
It started queuing in the front door, then the back door, and then coming up under the floor, so we had to abandon ship then.
Yeah, it sounds like a horror movie, man. You know, no matter where you try and go, it's going to find you. That's the most rough for you, boy. Ala Shadja.
Severe flood warnings remain in place on the River Team in Worcestershire tonight, which means there is a threat to life. And with a record number of flood warnings across the country, a week on from Storm Ciara, communities still await the full impact of Storm Dennis. Stacey Foster, ITV.
Yeah, Storm Ciara, Storm Dennis now. Check out this clip.
Since lunchtime, it's been raining ever since, and it's getting heavier tonight. They've only just recovered from Storm Ciara and the severe flooding they had here last weekend, and now they're wondering what tonight will bring. There's been no shortage of soldiers coming in, flood wardens, trying to shore up defences and offer advice to residents. Some residents have moved out, others are just hoping that it won't be as bad as last weekend. But the problem here, as in so many other parts of the UK, is that the rivers are already swollen. You can see the Calder behind me, very fast flowing. The ground is saturated, the sponge, if you like, is already full of water, and there's more water coming down from the hills into this valley, hence the multiple flood warnings. And there is anger here too. The north of England has certainly had its fair share of severe flood events in recent years, and there was a very striking front page comment in the Yorkshire Post today which read, "We're drowning, Prime Minister, it's time to act." And there will be much more of that, no doubt, if for a second weekend in a row the flood defences in these areas just don't hold out. Just when they might have hoped for a weekend off, in come more storm warnings. And the army too. Mytham Royd in the Calder Valley, where around 200 homes were flooded last weekend, readies itself once again.
We're all prepared upstairs now. We've got our own little set-up upstairs, got a little kitchen up here, and we're all just ready to just batten down the hatches and carry on, really.
How are you feeling about another weekend of potential flooding?
There's not much more we can lose, really, so it'll just be another clean-up. The downstairs is all clear now, so...
How much damage last weekend?
Oh, a lot of damage. Yeah, we lost pretty much everything.
How bad was it?
It was to about this level there on the inside. It came over the floodgate eventually. The floodgate worked fine, but then it came over.
Across the...
Yeah. So they're losing it. That first guy, he said that he lost everything, and that's another first floor flat. So they're just battening down the hatches. You know, the Mossad gonna find. You know, he's gonna find him. Let's check out this one. As a matter of fact, let's hear a little bit more.
Rhoda Skip lies laden with the debris of Storm Ciara, while they hastily build the new defences for Storm Dennis.
Yeah, so they're preparing for Storm Dennis. Let's check out some more on this one. This is South Wales. 4 people have been killed by Storm Dennis, with another feared dead so far. After a month worth of rain fell in 48 hours, you know, 91 mile per hour winds battered the country. So that's a month of rain in 2 days, roughly 2 days. Look at that coming up. It looks like a waterfall. That's supposed to be just a road there, and that's supposed to be. It looks like a bridge, and the water's just coming down. It looks like a waterfall. South Wales. Major incidents were declared all across the country.
Oh my god, that's bad. Oh wow.
Where are they going? They're just coming forward. Oh, no. Has he got it? He's going to go around. Is he going to go around? Oh my God, look at it. Wow. Well, we have 1,000 Environment Agency staff out in the field helping people prepare for the floods, helping them to evacuate where sadly that's necessary. We're monitoring things very closely, in particular the 7 towns such as Shrewsbury and Bewdley and Tewkesbury are areas that we're looking at very closely because water levels are expected to continue to rise in some of those catchments.
Yeah, the Brits try to recover from the flooding. There are already fears that another storm, Storm Elaine, is brewing. So, Storm Korea, Storm Dennis, now Storm Elaine. Most sides hitting them on all levels, man.
We're lucky. You and Mum
So, they are overwhelmed right now. You know, Storm Elaine. As if those other storms, Storm Korea and Storm Dennis, wasn't enough. Let's check out the last clip and then hit some scriptures.
Weekend of prolonged heavy rain has brought flooding in areas across the country. The Environment Agency said it expected significant flooding to continue into the next week. There are currently 409 flood alerts across England, Scotland and Wales, with 339 flood warnings. 6 severe flood warnings are still in place, meaning there's a danger to life. 4 on the River Teme and 2 in South Wales, including the River Taff at Pontypridd. Our Home Affairs correspondent Andy Davis is in Nant Garw tonight. Andy.
Well, rescue workers here today told me that they hadn't seen anything like it in decades. Dozens of residents in this village have now been moved out as the flood levels finally begin to drop, but the scale of the flooding across Wales has caused huge disruption. In this county borough alone, the council leader told us today that more than 500 residential properties have been flooded. It could be as many as 1,000. They're still getting reports coming in. And as far as the damage is concerned, it was so serious that South Wales Police declared a major incident this afternoon. And the fact that the Met Office issued a rare red warning gives you some indication of just how much concern there's been. Some very dramatic scenes overnight, particularly in Pontypridd, where the river there has reached its highest level in over 40 years. And I was chatting to a man there in one of the streets who told me how in the early hours this morning he grabbed the hand of a passing taxi driver, hauled him out of his car moments before the car was swept into the river. The Welsh Government has tonight said that it will be giving extra cash to councils to deal with the aftermath of Storm Dennis. At one end of the street, they were being helped to safety. At the other, amidst the collection of abandoned cars, the rescue operation continued. Some had to be stretchered out, many of them elderly. Others were carried. A constant stream of flood evacuees, cold and exhausted.
This flood is really real. Yeah. All the furniture, all carpets, everything.
What's the scene inside?
Pretty bad. It came down to, well, I'm 6'4", it came down to about my waist. So it's pretty deep, but we managed to get out of the back.
We had the phone call at 5 o'clock this morning to see if we could do anything and go and rescue the dogs. Basically, one unfortunately passed away, and we've managed to save Millie, and we're going to take her to the vets now.
Is there anything I can carry?
As Nant Garw's residents are taken to one of the area's 3 emergency centres, and the boats keep coming.
Alright, I'm going to leave it there, Kim. So Australia, they're hitting up with fire in all these places. Cardiff, South Wales, Yorkshire and Islands, Scotland, they're hitting it up. The Most High, first and foremost, it's the Most High hitting up these places with rain, torrential rain, flash floods. We're going to hit some scripts, man. First, we're going to start with Wisdom of Solomon 16:16. It says, For the ungodly that denied to know thee were scourged by the strength of thine arm with strange rains, hails, and showers were they persecuted, that they could not avoid. Yeah, they couldn't avoid it, man. They're saying, one woman was saying it was coming up through the toilet and all through from under the floorboards. The water was coming up, you know, and they even had reinforced barriers, rain barriers, you know, flood barriers, but it was creeping up from all sides of the house, so they couldn't stop it, man, you know. For the ungodly that denied to know thee were scourged by the strength of thine arm with strange rains, hails, and showers were they persecuted, and they are being persecuted because it's from the ultimate power, Al-Shadya, you know, demon-like power, that they could not avoid, and through fire were they consumed. You know, over there in Australia, Moses hitting them up with fire, man. Get another precept. It's going to end off the video, you know. And this is just some of the things that have been happening, and there's so many things happening over there. Some of the places over in Africa, they're saying they're having a problem with the locusts eating up the crops. Boy, that reminds me that reminds me of the 10 plagues what the Most High was hitting up the Egyptians with, man. Saying that it keeps on eating up the crops, man, the locusts, and it's an infestation. So, boy, you got corona, you got the coronavirus, you got the bird flu, and there's a lot of other epidemics, pestilences that are not being, you're not hearing about them, not yet. But boy, who knows what the Most High got in store for the wicked, you know. Wisdom of Solomon, start from 21. 5:21 it says, then shall the right arming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds as from a well-drawn bow shall they fly to the mark. You know, I gotta read that one again, man. Let that one marinate. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds as from a well-drawn bow shall they fly to the mark. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bowl, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. How many died already so far? Yeah, 4 people have been killed by Storm Dennis. You know, another 3 dead, and that's just at the beginning. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bowl, and the waters of the sea shall rage against them, and the floods shall cruelly drown them. Last one. 23 says, yea, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste, and the whole earth shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. So that's the Most High's wrath, man. Talking about his wrath, no one's gonna escape, you know, because the Most High is not a respecter of persons. And a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste, and the whole earth, and ill dealings shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty. Kala Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai for giving me the spirit to do this video. And I'll say Shalom to all Yakim, and Shalak Ram to all the wicked. Agayeh Gashata Ba'ashim Yahushai. I rebuke Satan for what they've done to the children of Yasha, past, present, and future, and everything that they plan to do against us may fall upon their own head. Shalom.